Golovkin, Stephen Matisse and whatever.
Big punchers.
People like punchers.
Yeah, like electrifying, excitement. Look at the boxing world has been MMA-ified to some extent. The young guys who grew up with MMA, they see a guy who goes in there with the seek and destroy attitude that he has, and they can relate to that. He's going to bring a lot of people to boxing. A lot of people.
Kathy, how did you get on this guy? Did you realize what you were getting when you got him?
We were approached by Aegis, and he had brought him literally to every promoter in the United States and had been turned down. And Aegis met with Jolene and I one day, and we didn't know him. Someone had asked us to meet with him, and he said, "I have this light heavyweight." And all I asked him was put him on a fight, put him on a show, pay him anything, put him in with anybody you want. If you don't want him when he's done, I won't bother you again. But I'm asking you to just do this.
What's his name again? Aegis?
Aegis Klimas. Klimas. Aegis is E-G-I-S. And so Jolene said she was having a hard time figuring out who to put him in with. And he had a split decision win over Darnell Boone about a year or so earlier. So she said, well, let's measure, and it's kind of a Russell idea too, let's measure how far he's come. Like Darnell Boone. Aegis said, sure, fine, get him. Got in the ring with Darnell Boone, and he blew him away. And when the fight ended, Russell, we don't often see Russell excited. Going into the fight, Russell was going, oh, who's this guy from Russia? What do you know? Why are you putting him on? I'm like, Russell, this guy asked me to do it, I'm doing it. Whatever. I believe him. I don't know why. I believe this guy. Russell comes tearing across the arena, runs up to me and goes, what did you put this guy in with after the fight ended? I said, nobody. I wouldn't put him in. There's nobody I wouldn't put him in with. That's why he was on the card, right? And he's like, this guy's amazing. Oh my God, put him in with anybody. So when I saw Russell got excited, that's when I knew for sure.
20-something years ago, I guess it was, Russell had a fighter named Buttons Kearney. I don't know if you remember, Hugh Buttons Kearney, who was like this main event guy. And he was supposed to fight whomever, and the fight fell through. And somebody said, well, we got this guy, Jorge Mazinet, and he had no idea. He was some Puerto Rican guy that was from New York. Put him with Buttons Kearney, and he knocked him out in like under a minute. And all of a sudden, a light went on over his head, and there he is, headlining a bunch of fights for Russell, and then he wound up fighting for the title in Yugoslavia, I think it is. So, I mean, once you pass the eye test, you fall in love quick.
You have to pass the eye test, and you have to do it with a legitimate opponent. A lot of people can look good against the right opponent. He had to go in with somebody he had struggled with, and then we saw this incredible improvement. And wow, you saw, it's something. It's not that he wins; it's the way he wins. It's so compelling. You can't look away.
Whether it's you or Russell or whomever, people that have been in this business for a long time, and you say, well, Key, how long have you stand? You've been doing this for 30 years or 40 years or whatever it is. And when you see somebody you get excited about, it's almost like falling in love again, You get excited, right?
Kathy, have you talked to Yvonne, or you guys talked to each other about? We've been talking about Stevenson, but before I guess you came over here. Has there been any dialogue with you two guys?
They don't seem too interested
No.
in having dialogue.
Have you at least reached out to them?
I spoke to him in Montreal the day, a couple days before the fight, and there was the start of talks. Once the fight was over, I kept trying to go talk to him, and I couldn't get him to talk to me, so I kind of took that as a sign. It looks like he's got other plans.
Do you think it'd be better to have another fight or two before Stevenson fight? Do you think it'd be worth more money to all parties involved? Or would you rather go right to it?
If I had my way, he would have fought Stevenson on November 30th. I don't think there's any reason not to, but that's me. They have other ideas. It might be worth more later. I don't know. Or it may never happen.
Kathy, the feeling is maybe want to cash in maybe a little bit more before taking a chance.
I can't speak for them. My fear is that we've got lightning in a bottle, and if we don't make this fight happen,
I'm saying that feeling.
That's my fear.
Your feeling is that they, at all costs.
Well, they said they want to fight Ron Hopkins. They said it to me. They said they want to fight him. He said it after the fight. I want to fight Hopkins. I want to fight
Crotch.
Okay, so he said it in the interview on HBO. Not just that he said it to me. It's not my feeling. That's what he said.
For a long time, people were talking about, like, for instance, Mayweather and Pacquiao, and for years, maybe we went past that. all of a sudden, with these two guys, Stevenson and Kovalev, all of a sudden that's the flavor of the month. You know what I mean? And it came on almost just like that. I mean, you know, they both fought on the same card that has in the past been, you know, I guess that was like a preview of a coming attraction when that happened. But when was the last time that a fight that all of a sudden people didn't, maybe a year or 6 months earlier, they didn't know that they wanted, all of a sudden now everybody wants it. Can you compare it to something?
Sadly, I might compare it to Wanma and who was he supposed to fight? Gamboa. And then it didn't happen. That's what worries me, is that, you know, you push it too far. And I think their fight, his fight and Stevenson's fight, got the same household rating on HBO that night. It was their fourth highest household rating of any fight they had all year. That's a huge, huge audience. That's, you know, how people, when you get certain fighters, where lots of people show up at their house and they have a party, you get higher numbers of people. But I'm looking at households. This is a subscription service. You're supposed to be making your subscribers happy, right? When you see those high numbers, they're watching already. You know, there's a limit on how many people will watch a fight on HBO. If you look at some of the biggest fights with the biggest head counts, they still have subscription numbers that aren't that much higher than where we were. It's just people going into houses. So to me, it's like everybody wants to see it. I can't believe that if you saw the two of them fight on Saturday, that you don't want to see them again, or that you don't want to see them with each other. So my belief is, for me, I'd be trying to get there and do it. I think everybody will watch it, but I'm not in charge, so.
I guess what makes that number even a little bit more, you know, impressive. You know, it's a holiday weekend. People are traveling. People are shopping, and you know, you still drew that kind of number.
It took place in Canada. It wasn't in the United States. Sergey, again, is tied with Stevenson and Golovkin for head household count for the fourth highest number of the year on HBO. His two fights on HBO this year didn't even take place in the United States, and there wasn't a single U.S. reporter even followed. Think about that.
Kathy,
It's amazing.
I apologize. This may have already been asked and answered a while ago. But could you tell me the genesis of your hookup with Kovalev and his people? How did that come to